Aries, there's a lot going on beneath the surface, particularly with your own emotions, and this might actually take you by surprise, or it might just have you kind of perplexed. Why am I feeling this way? What is going on for me right now? While I was really connecting to the energy for you, Aries, I just had these very big and intense emotions come through. At first, it was this sadness, this kind of despair, almost like a grief. And then there was this sort of anger that came up as well. But regardless of what it is that you're feeling, what actually came out of that for me was this question of why. And I was really sitting with this energy for a while because I'm also trying to figure out what is going on here, what's happening for this collective. But it didn't really feel like it was so much about the emotions themselves as much as it was about your relationship to your emotions. You were really kind of asking yourself, well, why am I feeling this way? Or feeling like you should feel different about a situation or maybe even a person or relationship. I did actually have the image of an anchor come through as well. And an anchor really can signify something that is keep holding you back or holding you in place. And so maybe you are a bit stuck on something from your past or something that once was very meaningful to you and you're kind of feeling like you need to move in a new direction, and that's sort of scary. But it could it could also be about another person too. So I'm really curious to break into some tarot cards here. I think we'll get a lot more clarity as we do that. And as I shuffle, I just want to thank all of you who are coming back to this channel once again. It is so good to have you. If you haven't done so already, I really encourage you to hit that like and subscribe button, as well as the bell notification, so you can always stay up to date with what's in the cards for you. It also helps me continue putting out these messages for all of you. So if this is helpful, any sort of engagement really helps out a lot, and I super appreciate it. You can also find links in the description box of this video for my website, where you can book personal readings and distance Reiki sessions, as well as links for all of my other social media accounts. Honestly, I haven't been super active, but at least you know you're following me and not some fake account, which can still kind of be a thing nowadays. So be very discerning with people claiming to be specific readers. I will never reach out to you to solicit a service or a reading. I am actually running a sale on my website too, so if you would like to go dive deeper with me, you can get 20% off any service using the code ECLIPSE20 through October 17th, and that is in 2024. These are actually timeless readings, so you're welcome to watch this whenever this reaches you. I may be referencing some of the astrology happening right now, so you can either look at that as just a dynamic that is coming up regardless of the current transits, regardless of what's going on in the stars at the time of watching, or maybe it's kind of bringing you back to this time. Maybe regardless of when you're watching this in the future, there is something that is kind of linked to October 2024. So just be very open. Time is very fluid, especially in these general readings. So we actually did have several cards already come out on the table for you. Wow. So, okay. What do we have here? We have the Knight of Wands with the Ace of Coins and the King of Cups. Ace of Coins and King of Cups are in reverse. Knight of Wands is upright. This almost feels like a relationship to me. And again, this could be just for some of you. I feel like there's kind of a dual message here. And so it's really important that you are kind of following what makes sense for you. And actually, I forgot to mention, it may feel good to even pause this video before we really dive in and to connect with your body, connect with your energy, and really feel what resonates with you in this reading, and really trusting that discernment. But yeah, looking at this Knight of Wands, this is definitely a very passionate energy. There's sometimes creativity or really good chemistry. It feels like you were once really lit up about something, but it wasn't emotionally sustainable. And it could be involving another fire sign, it could be involving a water sign, Cancer, Pisces, especially Scorpio energy here. But really, it feels like there was a lot of drive for something. There's a lot of desire for something. But with the Ace of Pentacles in reverse, it just wasn't sustainable for some reason. It wasn't the solid start that it needed to root into something more. Maybe an opportunity fell through. Or maybe there was an opportunity that kept you away from somebody or something that really mattered to you. And ultimately, it feels like there wasn't a lot of emotional stability here either with this King of Cups in reverse. And I feel like someone was very guarded or emotionally shut down. It could be you, it could be another person. And maybe this is kind of that sense of like shoulding on yourself. Like, I should feel this way, I shouldn't feel that way. Maybe there's still some sort of feeling about this because it's like, it doesn't feel like this was the thing for you, but there's still emotions wrapped in it. Very, very interesting. I did also get the Wheel of Fortune or Wheel of Fate. And so there is a new cycle. Like, this feels like something from an old cycle. This doesn't even necessarily feel like something that's in your life now, or maybe you're kind of at this in-between point at the time of this reading, the time you're watching it. But it feels like there's a call for something new. There's a call for a new chapter. There is change. Something needs to change. And just because you feel a certain way about something doesn't necessarily mean that you haven't moved on either. I really want to stress that, because I think a lot of the time we think that moving on means that we don't feel a certain way about a situation anymore. We've kind of just disconnected from it. But to me, moving on really means that we're just not trying to change the outcome of a situation. We're not trying to change another person. We've surrendered that control and taken control back for ourselves, what we can actually have agency in. And it feels like there is something bigger and better. And that might be really hard to wrap your head around, because it felt like whatever this was in the past, it made you feel excited and alive in a way that maybe you never really felt before. And it's hard to imagine that there could be something even better out there for you. And it does feel like maybe there is some self-esteem wounding in there as well. Like, you deserve more. You deserve stability and happiness, Aries. Very, very interesting. Let's see what else comes through. Okay, yeah, we do have the Nine of Wands coming in. It does feel like you're still very in your head about something. And I'm very specifically looking at this card and seeing that this is a nighttime image, someone kind of having sleep paralysis. It feels like when you're at rest, maybe when you're laying in bed at night, that's when you're sort of thinking of this person or the situation. And it feels like it's affecting your sleep. You might be dreaming of someone or something as well, and that could be adding to a lot of confusion. Tell me more. Wow. We have the Tower. Yeah, it feels like something it has ended or changed. Something is in this kind of destructive state. And you know you need to destroy something. You need to kind of let go of someone or something that was once a comfort to you, which actually can be another side of the Tower. It can be sort of a prison that we confine ourselves to because it has some of what we want, or we think it's what we want. And I almost, looking at this specific image, I'm seeing these tags, these wishes is actually what I think they're supposed to represent. And maybe there was the loss of something that you thought was the source of your happiness. Like, this is the person, this is the situation that's going to make me happy. And I'm going to be honest with you, Aries, I don't think there's any one situation or any one person that is capable of doing that. I think that we are beings that are constantly evolving and changing. And there's going to be new things. There's going to be new things that elevate us, that help us grow. And it feels like you're attached to whatever this thing was in the past, because it did bring a lot of growth. It did bring a lot of expansion for you at one point. It brought you something that you didn't think was possible. But now there's this sort of like stuck feeling. And I think you know this. That's the funny thing. Like, I think mentally and emotionally, you're in two sort of different places here. Like, mentally, you know, whatever didn't work out for you wasn't good for you. But emotionally, there's still this sort of attachment, and it kind of makes things confusing. It's like, why do I feel so strongly here? And maybe we can actually get an answer to that. But honestly, I don't even think it really matters. Maybe the answer is because you just don't believe there is something better out there for you, that there will be something that meets or exceeds whatever it was that you hoped this could be, this thing from the past. I really do feel like it's a relationship, but I get the sense it can also be about career for some of you too. Astrologically, we did just have an eclipse in Libra, which is your opposite sign. This was on October 2nd. And so there really was this new sort of disruptive beginning in relationships and the way you approach relationships. And maybe this is kind of what's bringing up all of these huge emotions. And you're like, why do I feel this way? Maybe what I actually just kind of got hit with as an example, but maybe this is what's happening for some of you. You haven't been connecting with someone for a really long time, maybe haven't even been thinking about them, and then you found out on social media they were seeing somebody new. And that brought up a whole bunch of emotions. Or maybe someone got engaged or is getting married, and that's just making you feel like shaken to your core. There's something that is just like really not volatile, but like just very, very visceral is the word. Like, there's this huge sort of thing happening in your body right now, in your emotional system. And maybe there's someone else who is like experiencing some sort of success in something that you wanted to be successful with. And that's stirring up a lot for you too. Again, like really applying this in a way that makes sense for you, not trying to force this either, but just being very open with how this is landing. It feels like there is a major shakeup happening, and it feels very unexpected. Yeah, Page of Cups in reverse. You don't understand why you're feeling this way. You're feeling a little disconnected from your own heart or taken aback. Maybe there was some unreciprocated feelings as well. It felt like you were kind of, maybe you were broken up with, or maybe you just weren't appreciated enough or something like that. It feels sad. It feels like there's this kind of rejection, and I think you're making it mean more than it actually means. And Ace of Cups at the bottom of the deck. This can be a self-love card. I mean, it's super cliche, Aries, but it really does feel like you need to love yourself. Like, that's the thing that's missing here. And like, truly love yourself, not just like affirmations that you don't really believe. Like, what are the things you like about yourself or love about yourself? Or maybe you're not even in a state where that's accessible to you. Like, what are the things that you can just sort of appreciate about yourself? And there might be a new relationship around the corner here with this Ace of Cups. But I don't feel like that really matters unless you're coming from a place of self-love. Queen of Coins, or Queen of Pentacles here for the future. I did originally pull this in reverse, but I felt this was an upright card. So it feels like you're kind of turning something around. You're becoming more stable. You're getting back on your feet. And I think being more practical. Connecting with nature. Doing things that ground you, that are available to you. Those things are really, really important. And I kind of feel like there's almost this hibernation and then there's this springtime, which is sort of interesting. And astrologically right now, Pluto is finally wrapping up its run through Capricorn, where it has been since 2008. And for you, this has also been about your role, your purpose in the world at large. And it feels like your life just isn't what you thought it would be. Your relationships don't look the way you thought they would. Your career doesn't look or feel the way you thought it would. There's a lot that's changing. And when it comes to career in particular, it feels like, yes, you realize some of your goals or achieve some of your goals, but something changed or something just hasn't felt like the way you thought it would. And maybe that's because you're being called into something new or a different form of stability. Maybe some of you approached career or stability from a place of like, I can get what I want once I attain this stability, but it's coming at a cost. It's taking more from you than it's giving. And it's almost like you are bartering for your long-term happiness. Like, this is what I need to do in order to be happy. This will help me meet that end. But maybe it just didn't work. But what I really get that's kind of confusing is like, for a lot of you, I feel like you did something that you were actually very proud of. You moved in a direction, you studied something, you took a career that was once this huge, personal, fulfilling thing, but it's now changed. And again, for some of you, it's one or the other, but I feel like it's both. I feel like this is coming up about your purpose. It's also coming in about your relationships. And it's just like, it almost feels like, why does my life feel wrong? What is at the bottom of the deck? Queen of Swords in reverse, because you've been coming from it from a very mental place. And not in a very embodied way. You're kind of in this story of like, because even if you think you're in touch with your feelings, Aries, it's almost like you're just telling yourself, oh, I feel this way, I feel that way. But when was the last time you actually stopped and instead of named the emotion, like actually felt it in your body? Actually felt it and sank into the bottom of the sensation and really explored it. You might actually be surprised what you see and what you find and what you feel. Anything else for Aries? I think I'm going to pull some oracle cards here, but are there any other messages for Aries? It feels like it's really important to get embodied with these two. Kind of letting go of the old story. You don't have to believe in everything you feel either. But it is important to be aware of it, to be aware of what's going on. I keep thinking of like container. Yeah, Lovers in reverse. A lack of unity, a lack of harmony. I mean, this could quite literally be about an old relationship. But it's funny because it feels like whatever is going on in your love life right now, or like whatever is going on in this past situation, it's actually helping you finally let it go. And I mean, the Lovers can also represent this relationship with self as well. Anything else? Anything else with this Lovers in reverse? We do have the Queen of Cups upright. You do have a strong emotional bond or spiritual bond with this person. And they're almost wounded in this way where it's like you want to take care of them, and maybe you're wounded in that way for them too, but it just becomes destructive. Like you're trying to heal each other when you need to be healing yourself. Because it's almost like you're trying to heal yourself by healing the other person. For others of you, this is about needing to reconnect with your emotional nature, your intuition. There's just this disconnect right now, Aries, which is really, really fascinating to me. It's feeling very disembodied. Even though there's like big emotions, it's almost like that's how your emotions are getting your attention right now. Because there's something that you haven't clocked, or that you haven't really given space for, or really unpacked. So major emotional processing going on, and it feels like you're actually letting go of things that aren't good for you, and maybe even like who you think you have to be in order to be in a relationship. That's actually what's really coming in. Like it's even deeper than this person. It's like your belief system around relationships and around commitments is shifting. And it's like you kind of have to let this fantasy die. And it is sort of reminding me of this eclipse because it is conjunct Lilith. It is conjunct the South Node. And both of these energies together, it really is like shedding something that is from the past, something that is old, an old identity, an old role that you filled. And with Lilith in particular, it really is kind of embracing this unknown, or this this kind of wild, maybe even dark side, but I don't mean that in a negative way either. And for those of you who are not familiar with Lilith, Lilith is the apogee of the moon in astrology, which is the point where the moon is furthest in the orbit from the Earth. Lilith does not move around the Earth in a perfect circle. It is an elliptical. And so it's basically this kind of shadow of the moon, this sort of subconscious lunar void. And with this previous eclipse really touching into that space, it does touch into the archetype of Lilith as well, which is this void. There's projection, what we project onto others, what are projected onto us, what we expect without naming. Lilith in Hebrew mythology was actually the first wife of Adam. And she didn't want to fill the subservient role that God had said she needed to fill. And so she spoke the true name of God. She left the Garden of Eden, and she became a sex demon because, you know, who doesn't love a good villain era? But she, to me, a lot of people think of her as this sort of like feminist icon, which she certainly is. I'm not trying to say that that's not part of her story, but as a queer person too, I ultimately see her as someone who defies binaries. She defies roles that are projected onto her. She needs to break free of these things. And it's like she had to choose between being in this heavenly place, this Eden, being someone she's not, or being who she was meant to be in hell. And she chose the latter. To her, it was worth it. There was no peace in being in Eden for her if she couldn't be who she wanted to be. She couldn't be who she was. And so there is this need to kind of like really embrace yourself in a very radical way, and even kind of appreciating like you actually weren't meant for this person. You were meant for something else. You were meant for yourself too. Like you need to embody yourself and contain yourself before someone else can contain you in a relationship. Very, very interesting energy. I hope that landed. I hope I didn't derail too much here. I do want to pull some oracle cards here as well. Let's pull an animal card for you, Aries. Really, really interesting energy so far. I hope I haven't lost you. And I mean, if this did resonate, I almost want to hear or see like a snake emoji, because that's very associated with Lilith, the serpent. Maybe you need to kind of embrace or learn about that energy a little bit more. So yeah, if you are connecting to that Lilith archetype or needing to find freedom and liberation, comment that snake emoji. I'd be really curious, especially if you've made it this far. I know we're already at that 25-minute mark. We do have the tiger, which is all about feeling comfortable in darkness and in silence. There's a power there. There really is a power in this place that feels scary. And that's so much of what this feline energy represents to me. It's about going fearlessly or like facing your fears with courage, going into the darkness with courage, and being very much in your element there. Because the only reason you feared your darkness is because it made you feel like you would be rejected by this other person or this situation that wasn't right for you anyway. And now it's like, well, what else do I have to lose? I have nothing to lose. And there's a lot of creative potential here. Holy shit. I'm just feeling like you are crazy creative, this collective. And I know for myself, I feel like in my 20s, I had a lot of really dramatic relationships. And when I really think back to that time, it's almost like I had all of this creative energy that I was sort of squandering, and I just created drama in my relationships to kind of channel that. So maybe that's a message for some of you too. Tiger also does signify sexual healing as well, which is also something that Lilith can be really good for as an energy to connect or attune with. There's a lot of sexual liberation with Lilith, and a lot of sexual healing, like really owning your sexuality, which is also your creative life force energy too. Any other energies for Aries to embody at this time? Here we go with the serpent. Wow. Yeah, sea serpent. I told you. Really, the snake emoji. Let's see it, guys. This is the card that corresponds to the sacral chakra, which is all of these tiger energies I was talking about with the sexual, creative, carnal energy. The sea serpent really also represents to me being very present with your emotions, regardless of how you're feeling. And this is not the same thing as wallowing, okay? Like, this is about being a container for your emotions, being the support that you want from other people for yourself. Because it does feel like you kind of need to do this for yourself right now. I'm just being honest. Like, that feels like the energy. And again, there's a lot of sexual, creative healing with this card too. So creativity could be something that's very healing as well. I feel like you're artists. And that's why this thing in the past didn't work out. You're supposed to be doing something creative, Aries. And maybe this is something different if you were in a creative profession before. Honestly, it felt too small for you. You're so much bigger than the box you've been trying to fit yourself in. And that applies to your relationships, that applies to your career, that applies to a lot of things, I think. And embrace that mass, your gravity, your strong energy. And honestly, that's not meant for anybody. You need to have someone else who is very strong and big, but you need to be in your energy first. And you are protected. I see this evil eye almost in this sea serpent, and it's like warding off unwanted attention. When you embody your strength, you're both going to be more attractive and repelling to people. You're going to attract the right people, you're going to push away the wrong people, and maybe that's what's happened in the past. I am noticing the timestamp, so I think now is a really good time to end. Again, I hope that this was helpful. Please let me know how this resonates. I love to hear from you. Feel free to hit like and subscribe if this resonated. Really appreciate it. All of my links are in the description of this video for personal readings and distance Reiki sessions. Again, I have a sale on all of my services, so maybe we can unpack this a little bit deeper. Would love to connect with all of you, and I will see you in the next video. Take care, Aries. Sending lots of love and blessings your way.